He absolutely hates humans. How many remember what Herod did when he wanted to kill baby Jesus in Bethlehem? He killed all the children, right? Kill them all. And that's what Satan wants to do. He wants to kill every human being on the planet. He's got people that follow him, like Jacques Cousteau did. Jacques Cousteau said, in order to stabilize world population, we must eliminate 350,000 people per day. Nice guy, Jacques. People like Worcester, who said, people are the cause of all the problems. We have too many of them. We need to get rid of some of them. People like Bill Clinton that signed the Biodiversity Treaty, which said we must reduce the Earth's population to 1 billion. They've already got the whole world divided up for their Biodiversity Treaty. The red areas are areas for animals only, no humans allowed. The yellow areas are buffer zones to keep the humans away from the animals. We're going to only be allowed to live in the green areas. I love it when the environmentalist wackos say, well, animals have rights and trees have rights. I say, yes, and I think oxygen molecules have rights, and you ought to quit breathing. Peter Singer, Princeton University professor, said Christianity is our foe. If animal rights is to succeed, we must destroy the Judeo-Christian religious tradition. Greg said the world has cancer. The cancer is man. Ted Turner said a total world population of 250 to 300 million, 95% decline would be ideal. Okay, Ted, you first. Lead the way. Prince Philip, he's the husband of Queen Elizabeth. She's the one that invented the microwave. Prince Philip said, if I could be reincarnated, I would wish to return to Earth as a killer virus to lower human population levels. Nice guy, Phil. It's especially scary when you consider Prince Philip is involved with ADM, Archer Daniels Midland, and they own and control 95% of the food distribution of the world. Ooh, pretty scary having a numbskull like that in there running things. Wants to kill everybody? By the way, speaking of viruses, before you get any vaccines of any kind, you ought to read that book about vaccines. We can go for a couple days on this topic, or get a hold of our brand new videotape we just made on the Bible and health with Bill Sardi, or get his book, Power of Health. It's out there on the table out there. Anyway, we won't take time to get off on vaccines right now, but the United Nations has said, food is power. We use it to control behavior. We do not apologize. You just mark my words. Some folks have plans to reduce the population. If you go outside the city limits of Atlanta, Georgia, go to the town of Elberton. Go about 8 or 10 miles north. You will find the little place in the hillside out there, in the middle of nowhere. There are some stones set up. Looks like Stonehenge. These are called the Georgia Guidestones. Out in the middle of no place. If you get up close and look at the stones, you will find they have written on them in 12 languages the 10 commandments for the New World Order. Commandment number 1 says we must maintain humanity under 500 million. Excuse me, there's already 6 billion. How do you propose to maintain it under 500 million? Are they planning to get rid of a whole bunch of people? Well, you better read Revelation pretty carefully. I think you'll see it fits right in, folks. Okay? Well, regardless of what happens in the future, the population today shows man has not been here for millions of years. It's a very powerful proof this earth is not billions of years old. Certainly the human population is not. A couple of more thoughts here. The galaxies are spinning, but the stars in the middle are going faster than the stars at the outside. If they were billions of years old, the galaxies would have lost their spiral shape by now. Spiral galaxies indicate they are not billions of years old. They should have drifted off. Plus, it's interesting, we have novas. That's where a star blows up. You know, we have a nova or a supernova about every 25 or 30 years. Astronomers tell us about every 25 or 30 years a star dies and explodes into a supernova. Question, if the universe is billions of years old, how come there are less than 300 supernovas discovered in space? I mean, that's not billions of years worth, is it? If the universe is billions of years old, there should be a lot more supernova rings out there. And there aren't. Interesting. You kids are going to be told that red giant stars evolved to white dwarf stars. And they'll tell you it takes billions of years for this to happen. No, that's not quite true. It is true that red stars seem to turn to white stars, which, by the way, is the opposite of evolution. That's losing, not gaining. but it doesn't take billions of years. All of the ancient astronomers described Sirius as a red star. They said it was red. I know it's a binary star, but today Sirius is a white dwarf binary star. It does not take billions of years. It happens in a few thousand years. Jupiter is cooling off rapidly. You can't just keep cooling off. Pretty soon you are cooled off. I mean, if you walked into the room and found a cup of coffee sitting on the table, and I said, don't touch the coffee, it's hot. And you said, whose is it? And I said, I don't know, it's been sitting there for 400 years. That'd be kind of hard to believe, don't you think? And they want me to believe these planets are billions of years old, but they're still constantly losing heat. Jupiter has a little moon called Ganymede that is losing heat, yet it still has a magnetic field that is incredibly strong. Should have cooled off billions of years ago. Saturn has rings around it, but the rings are moving away from the planet. They are unstable. They cannot be billions of years old. The moon is going around the Earth. How many knew that already? The moon goes around the Earth? Okay. But as the moon goes around, it's gradually getting farther and farther away. We're slowly losing the moon. It can't be billions of years old. Now, kids, this is going to be complicated, so listen carefully. The moon is getting farther from the Earth every year. So that means that it used to be closer. How many can figure that out with no help? Okay? Well, if you bring the moon in closer, you start to create a problem, you see, because the moon causes the tides. I don't know if you folks up here, how far above sea level are we right here? Anybody know? A couple hundred feet above sea level up here. Pensacola, Florida is a little lower than that. Some parts of the country don't worry about the tides, but in Pensacola you worry about the tides. Okay? If the moon were closer, the tides would be higher. There's a law called the inverse square law. If you half the distance, you quadruple the attraction. If you brought the moon into 1/3 the distance, it would be 9 times the gravitational pull. According to Walt Brown in his book, which we have out there on the table, he says 1.2 billion years ago, the moon would be touching the Earth. Way before that, you would have a tidal problem. It would wash the beach clear back to Chicago. Comets are flying around through space, but comets are constantly losing material. That's what the tail is blowing off the comet. Comets only last about 10,000 years. I mentioned in my seminar years ago that, comets are losing material, and this indicates that the universe is not billions of years old. And this one skeptic devoted a website to me. There are now over 200 anti-Hovind websites. I'm so proud of myself. They all want to engage me in an email debate. That is just what I need. I get nearly 1,000 email a week. I type 12 words a minute with 19 mistakes. It's the last thing I want is an email debate. I offer to let them call me anytime. I tell them I will come debate them publicly in front of their crowd with half my brain tied behind my back, just to make it fair. So if one of them says, Hovind refused to debate me, it's only because they asked for a written, long email debate. I just simply don't have time, okay? I speak 700 times a year. I'm plenty busy with what I'm doing, okay? But I'll be glad to come debate them, all of them together, simultaneously. Bring them all together. I'll answer anything they want, answer any questions. And we'll have a question-and-answer session after the service tonight also. But this skeptic said, Hovind, you don't know what you're talking about comets. Well, yes, I do. You see, comets are constantly losing material. You can't just keep losing and losing. Pretty soon it's gone. It's like your checkbook. If your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep will be your downfall every time. But this scoffer said, Hovind, don't you know, in the 1950s, a Dutch astronomer named Jan Oort proposed, that means he hoped, he wished, he prayed, that a shell of comets existed at the remote frontiers of our solar system. Oh, I see. He said this Oort cloud, as he called it, is 50,000 astronomical units away. In case you don't know, an astronomical unit is the distance from the Earth to the Sun. That is 1 astronomical unit. Now hold on a minute. The planet Pluto is 39 astronomical units away. And you cannot see Pluto without an extremely good telescope. And he says this Oort cloud is 50,000 astronomical units away? I don't think so. See, there's a problem with this. No one has ever seen the Oort cloud. Oort never saw the Oort cloud. He made it up. We now know it's based on a mathematical goof. There is no Oort cloud. But this skeptic said, if you fellows want to use the comet argument, it's up to you to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the Oort cloud and other sources don't exist. Now, slow down, Dave, just a minute. How could I prove the non-existence of something? What he's trying to do here is called shifting the burden of proof. I'll show you